Assalamu alaikum Bloopians, I'm Asma and you're watching Bliifee, where I share Muslim life hacks from my life and experiences as a Muslim in Australia, and in this video we'll be exploring a step-by-step guide on how to pray on the plane. I recently released a vlog of myself praying on the plane while going from Melbourne to Singapore, and inshallah I have more footage that is going to be coming soon from how I prayed in Singapore during my stay, 18 hours stay over there, and then how I prayed while coming from India to Singapore and then Singapore to Melbourne again, because the timings are so different throughout the whole journey. Now, the biggest thing here is about intention, your will to pray on time no matter what. And secondly, you should be knowing what you follow. Some schools of thought allow for combining of Salah when traveling, some do not. So knowing which one you follow, what the rulings are, ask your scholars for more clarifications on that. But that is the base of what we're going to be building up on this video. So inshallah, let's get started. The first step is when you're booking your flights. Booking your flight usually happens way in advance, and if you are booking a flight from Melbourne, then you should be aware of the timings. For example, if I'm booking a flight in December, and right now as of filming it's May, we're entering winter. So winter Maghrib is around like 5 p.m, whereas in December, in summer, Maghrib is around like 9 p.m. So that's a very big difference. So when you are booking the flights, you need to be aware of those timings of not only your origin but also your destination. And the best way to do that is looking at your app. So I follow the timings on the Adhan app, and so all I do is there is a calendar on that, and what I do is you just press on so I'm just gonna hide this location of mine. So this is the app. And when you go onto the app, you click on all prayers, and then you can see there's a calendar over here. You press that, and then you get a calendar of all the prayer timings according to your date, and you can always move around to the next month and see what to expect in the coming months, inshallah. So based on that, you would want to plan a trip that has the least amount of friction for your prayer timings, which means that as much as you can, try to pray on the ground in the airport or before you leave the house as much as you can, and then minimalistic prayers on the plane. So if you also follow the opinion of combining the salah, then about making it easy for you to pray while you get off the plane. Now again, when you're booking flights from Melbourne, Australia is so secluded from the rest of the world. To travel to any part of the rest, like internationally, it takes so long, and usually we have stopovers in other countries. So for example, if I'm traveling from Melbourne to India, then I usually have to stop over in one middle, like anywhere in the middle. Otherwise, it's a very, very long journey. So either I'm stopping in another country or I'm stopping in another city within India. So there is always a stopover that's involved if I'm traveling to where my family comes from. So that is the first step, planning your journey in advance by keeping in mind the prayer timings before you even book your flight. Now, secondly, the second step is to download this app called Halal Trip, and I really, really love this app because of one of its main features called the in-flight prayer timings. Now, I'm not a scholar, but I believe they've done the due diligence before they made the app, and obviously consulted scholars and stuff to make sure that the information provided is accurate. So I follow the Halal Trip app, and if you go onto their just gonna hide a few things over here. Okay, so if you go onto the in-flight prayer timings, and then you can see that I've already put in my details from the flights that I traveled in December and in January. So all you have to do is you click on enter details, and you put in your departure airport, your arrival airport, the departure date and time, arrival date and time, and then you just click on get prayer timings, and then it just shows you the prayer times. And because I don't have any other flight details on me to test that feature, I'm just going to show you what I've done when I was going from Melbourne to Singapore. It has this really cool feature where it shows you the prayer timings at origin. So because, like, for example, my watch was set to Melbourne timing, then it shows me the prayer timings according to Melbourne time. prayer timings at origin and prayer timing at destination. And it also shows me the prayer timing before departure and after arrival. So in this case, my Asr prayer was before I departed. So I prayed that in the airport before I boarded the flight. And then Maghrib and Isha were at these particular timings, and then Fajr was after arrival. So it is a bit confusing, but I'm just telling you according to how much I understand this. So what I did was I prayed Asr before I departed, and then I prayed Maghrib and Isha on the flight. I combined them after Isha time, and then and also the reason I did that is because I follow the opinion that I'm supposed to pray my Isha Salah before midnight happens. And when I calculated, the midnight was exactly when I'm like landing in Singapore, so I didn't want to risk that. And I could have also combined my Isha Salah with Maghrib at the time of Maghrib, but because I was looking after my baby and then my husband was eating his meal and then we swapped, I had my meal and he was looking after the baby, and then after that I asked the flight attendant to pray. And here's a bit of what happened when I asked the flight attendant. I asked the flight attendant if I could pray near the bassinet area because that's where I was seated and there was some space that I could see over there. And so the flight attendant goes like, yeah, you can pray over there, but, and then I was like, oh my god, what's coming after this but word? Because usually they have some sort of thing to say that may prevent me from praying. Yeah. Anyway, so he's like, but there's a better space at the back that you can pray. And I was like, whoa, actually, like really, I would love to actually, like, and then I was actually very shocked with this answer, and I was also very excited. So I had my wudu from Asr when I prayed in the airport. I had made my new wudu, and so I held that wudu throughout. I actually tried to pray at Maghrib, but it was so bright even at 9 p.m, 9:30. And so then slowly, when I was certain that Isha time had begun, is when I actually took steps to start praying. And then, so I had my wudu. I didn't sleep. I didn't break my wudu. So there was no problem over there. But in the next step I'm going to talk about is about how to make your wudu on plane, which is very simple. Anyway, so the second step over here was to put in your flight details into the Halal Trip app, and it will show you your timings, your prayer timings, and it also shows you your Qibla direction at different given timings of your flight. So you can either follow this or you can also, what I did in flight, because I completely forgot about this feature, is I opened up my Adhan app and I put in the Qibla direction feature, and it showed me the Qibla direction. Yes, there are claims that these apps are not accurate, but it is up to us to do our best that we can in the given moment with the tools and resources that we have, so to find the direction of the Qibla to the best of our abilities. That's what I did. I used the app, and I don't think it requires network. And I think this whole it uses the Qibla feature uses the compass of your phone, so I don't think it requires any network or had that issue at all. Anyway, so I used the app and it showed me the Qibla direction, and that's how I went about it. Step number 3 is making wudu to pray. And so for that, you can either have your wudu on before you board the flight, so which I did have my wudu while I prayed Asr on ground in the airport. I held that wudu throughout, and I did not sleep. I did not break my wudu until it was time for me to pray. But if you do have to pray, if you do have to make wudu on the plane, then it's pretty simple. You just make your wudu as normal. Go into the bathroom. There's a tap over there. Yes, it doesn't hold on. You have to actually hold on. So you just press it and you do wudu, and then it stops again. So you just press it again, and then you just do the next step. Keep doing that. It is a bit hard. It is a bit inconvenient, but you get rewarded for all these inconveniences. And obviously traveling is a luxury, so you've taken that step. You should make sure that you are still doing your fard duty on time as a Muslim, which is to pray on time. So you make your wudu. Secondly, another hack you can do is there's a cup over there. You can just fill in that cup and then use that to pour, or anything you can do. You can have a bottle on hand. So many ways to do this, but there's no excuse not to do this, and there's no excuse to do tayammum in this case. The opinion that I follow is tayammum is only and only allowed in medical conditions where you cannot touch water at all, and secondly, it's allowed when there's no water available at a certain given radius. Okay. So if water is available, you can't be like, I can do tayammum in this case. So you have to have water not available. But in this case of the plane, water is available. The only problem here is inconvenience, but that is not an excuse at all to do tayammum. And so you have to do wudu using the water. You do your wudu to the best of your ability. How do you wash your feet? Put your feet in the sink and wash it. And for those of you Muslims or non-Muslims who are watching this and be like, ew, you can't put your feet into the sink because your feet are dirty or the sink is dirty. No, our feet are not dirty, and if you feel your feet are dirty, then maybe wipe it with a sanitizer, and then you wipe. And if you feel the sink is dirty, you wipe the sink with the sanitizer. I know, like wet wipe or tissue or something, but no excuse to not do this properly. Okay. So you do your wudu, and the next step is to ask the flight attendant. Just press the button to call the flight attendant and be like, hey, I need to pray. Where can I pray? Can I pray over here, or can I pray at the back? And you can ask them that. So in case they don't allow, which happened to me on my way back from Singapore to Melbourne, because I was on a different flight and was the worst experience ever on a flight. But anyways, that is a story for another day. In that flight, they didn't allow me to pray while standing because it was a budget airlines and whatever. Okay. So if that happens, what scholars say is that you do your best of the ability. So I did my best. I asked at least 4 flight attendants, hoping that they will give me a different answer each. But no, all the answers were like, no, you can't pray, or yeah, let me find out. And then they come back and like, no, you can't pray. It's not safe, or blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I did my best to ask them that. And then if they don't allow you to pray while standing, what you've got to do is you pray while sitting to your best of your ability. If you can make sujood or ruku, or standing on your seat, standing near your seat or something, you do your best. And then like obviously the salah is not done properly. So what you're going to do is once you land, you pray your salah again. You repeat your prayer again properly with the proper gestures and positions. So I'm not a scholar, but I'm telling you this from what I've seen. I'm going to put the references either here or in the description or in the comments, wherever I can, inshallah. So that is the 4th step. You ask the prayer for a prayer place, and then you find a prayer place. And if you can't find a prayer place, then this is what you do. By sitting and praying and then repeating the salah on ground. Yeah, so another thing to keep in mind, few things to keep in mind when doing this is, please always have proper clothes that you can pray in. Just because you're traveling, it doesn't make it, doesn't give you an excuse for dressing in a way that is not going to make your salah valid. So there was once a time when I was praying in a masjid, and this lady was not covering her arms. Her sleeves are up to here. So I was like, hey sister, do you want me to give you another scarf, jilbab, to cover your hands, because your hands are seen? So she's like, yeah, cool. And then after the salah happened, she was like, I'm a traveler anyway, so it would have been okay. No, it's not okay to have your aura exposed when you're praying, whether you're a traveler or not. Obviously there are exceptions according to the Sharia, which I don't know because I'm not a scholar, but there are exceptions in cases of actual necessity, but just inconvenience does not count for this. And also, tayammum is not valid just because. No. And you can't sit and pray just because. There are rules set in place, and you as a Muslim have to follow those rules because you've chosen to be a Muslim, you've chosen to go travel that journey. So do your best to prepare beforehand, which is by with having a lot, like the information that you need, preparing beforehand, having prayer mat or whatever on hand. And if you don't, then you can watch this video about what you can do if you don't have a prayer mat, what else you can use that you've got on hand, a jacket or like a tissue paper or something. And yeah, just watch that video. I've got some more examples over there. And yeah, always have your clothes in that you can pray in case your clothes get dirty. Okay, what are you going to do in that case? I always keep an extra pair of clothes in my hand luggage in case something happens, just in case. And so all I'm saying is to have clothes in case of necessity. And if you do get najasa on your clothes and you don't have any other set, all you have to do is just wash your clothes, pour some water on it, and get rid of the najasa. There are certain steps to do that, but just make sure you get the najasa off, or you have another set of clothes that you can change it to. But having dirty clothes is not an excuse. So have a set of clothes, or just get rid of the najasa. And it happened to me. I just changed my clothes, and you had to use up that set of clothes that I had. But no excuse. And if you have any other questions, let me know in the comments down below. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with somebody else so that you get the rewards if they get benefit from this video. Inshallah, until next time, live your beliefs and stay tuned to Bliifee. How to pray on the plane.
So my dream for Jannah. grows day by day, and I pray to Allah to guide me all the way till I make it to His paradise.